There is a kind of kindness that is not virtue, but a slow form of self-destruction. Picture a person who says yes to every request, staying late after work to help a colleague, answering messages at midnight, lending money they cannot afford to lose. On the surface, they seem admirable. People call them generous, selfless, dependable. But beneath the praise, there is something quietly breaking. Their own needs are buried. Their time is no longer their own. They are running on less sleep, postponing their own dreams, and quietly wondering why no one notices. The Stoics warned against unexamined generosity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you must guard the citadel of your mind. Kindness without boundaries is not moral strength, it is weakness dressed as virtue. To live well, you must know when kindness builds your life, and when it tears it apart. Over the next few minutes, we will look at 7 ways that unchecked kindness can quietly ruin you, and how the Stoics would have you respond. Way 1. People will assume you have no limits. When you are endlessly accommodating, you teach others to believe you will always bend. At first, they appreciate it. The first time you stay late to help, they thank you warmly. The second time, they are grateful but less surprised. By the 5th or 6th time, it is no longer a favor. It is expected. A friend might call you at all hours, certain you will answer. A coworker might routinely drop tasks on your desk, assuming you will handle them without complaint. It doesn't matter that you are tired, busy, or stressed. You've shown them that your time has no boundaries. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you allow others to set the terms of your generosity, you hand over that power. Pause for a moment and ask, am I helping because it is right, or because I am afraid to disappoint? The difference is the line between healthy kindness and quiet self-erasure. Way 2. You will attract manipulators. Kindness is like a light. It draws people toward you. But not everyone who steps into that light comes with good intentions. Some see kindness as an opening to be used. Think of the person who always has a small emergency. The neighbor who needs just a quick favor every week. The relative who constantly borrows money with promises to pay it back. The friend who disappears until they need something. These people are skilled at sensing who will never say no. Seneca warned that if you give without wisdom, you are feeding the wrong parts of the world. He wrote that generosity should be an act of reason, not an impulse of fear or guilt. Without discernment, your kindness can become the exact thing that sustains someone else's irresponsibility or selfishness. It is not cruel to protect yourself from exploitation. It is cruel to yourself not to. The Stoics would say, give, but give with judgment. Way 3. You will neglect your own needs. It can feel noble to sacrifice for others, but the cost often hides itself until it becomes heavy. You tell yourself it's fine to skip lunch to help a colleague. You convince yourself that sleeping 4 hours a night is just part of being dependable. You put off your own doctor's appointment so you can drive someone else across town. Day by day, your well-being becomes a secondary concern. And because kindness feels morally superior, you might even feel guilty for wanting to protect your own time. The Stoics saw this as a dangerous imbalance. Epictetus reminded his students that the first responsibility of a rational being is to live in harmony with nature, and that includes caring for your own body and mind. You cannot live with reason if you are running on exhaustion. True kindness begins with being a good steward of your own strength. Protect your energy, not only for yourself, but so that when you can give well. Way 4, your standards will erode. Kindness without boundaries can lead to quiet tolerance of what should never be accepted. Someone speaks to you with disrespect and you let it pass. They repeat it, and it becomes a pattern. You tell yourself, they're just having a bad day. But bad days turn into bad habits, and those habits shape how people treat you. Over time, you may stop noticing how often you are overlooked, interrupted, or dismissed. By choosing peace over confrontation again and again, you lower the standards for how you expect to be treated. Epictetus said, "You will become what you tolerate." This does not mean you must meet every offense with anger. It means you must meet it with truth. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself, and for the other person, is to refuse to accept what is wrong. Way 5. You will live in quiet resentment. Even the gentlest person can only carry so much before bitterness takes root. At first, you give freely. But as months or years pass, you start to notice a difference. Your kindness no longer feels like a choice. It feels like an obligation. And obligations, when unspoken and one-sided, breed resentment. You begin to feel unseen, unappreciated, even invisible. People thank you less often. They expect more and notice less. You feel the weight of your own silence. The Stoics would say this is a sign you have been acting from habit, not from principle. They would advise you to pause before giving, not to hesitate in generosity, but to choose it with full awareness. Give when it is right. Say no without guilt when it is not. Resentment is not a flaw in your kindness. It is the signal that your kindness has wandered too far from your values. Way 6. You will confuse approval for respect. When your kindness is constant, it can be easy to believe that people like you for who you are. But approval is not the same as respect. Approval can be shallow, based on what you give, how much you agree, or how little you object. Respect comes from strength, consistency, and the courage to hold your boundaries. Musonius Rufus reminded his students that virtue does not mean pleasing everyone. If you must choose, it is better to be respected than to be liked. A person who respects you will value your no as much as your yes. A person who only approves of you will vanish the moment you stop meeting their expectations. In the long run, respect will sustain relationships. Approval will keep you performing for an audience that does not see you. Way 7. You will lose yourself. The most dangerous cost of misplaced kindness is forgetting who you are. When every decision is made to avoid upsetting others, your own values fade into the background. You find yourself agreeing to things you do not believe in, spending time on causes you do not care about, and living a life shaped more by other people's needs than your own vision. The Stoics taught that the only thing you truly own is your character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If your thoughts are always shaped by the comfort of others, your soul will take on their colors, not yours. Kindness is a virtue when it comes from strength and clarity, not fear or habit. Protect your time, protect your mind, protect your soul. The world needs your compassion, but it needs it from someone who has not disappeared inside it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into the timeless wisdom of the Stoics.